Praise the Lord, everyone. My name is Priya Wilson, and today I want to share my testimony with you, with all of you. God delivered me from a place that was very lonely and very dark, and He is the center of my world right now. And I was in a very dark place, so I want to tell you about that story, that time of my life. And I want to start off by telling everyone that how blessed I feel, and I am immensely blessed because He has given me such a beautiful family, such a beautiful Germinate family, and everyone has supported me and loved me so much, and they have given me all the support that I needed to get out from that dark place. So I'm thankful to everyone, and I want to start off by telling you about my journey. So I grew up in a Christian house, and everything my family was very supportive. Everyone was very supportive. They were very loving. But I still had, growing up, I had this. I had a lot of insecurities. And I had a lot of problems expressing myself, and I always felt lonely. I always felt like I needed some kind of attention. And so growing up, I had a lot of traumas that I went through, and those traumas sort of made me go into that dark and lonely place. And I started misusing drugs, alcohol, smoking, all those things. So when I was in high school, I tried smoking, and I tried alcohol, using alcohol, and those things were for a party phase. Like sometimes each and every one of us, we have this thing inside us that we want to try these things, and there's a certain fascination that comes up with these things. So I was that kind of a curious kid that I really wanted to try those things. So growing up, I tried a few things, and at a point in my life, these things were pretty normalized to me because everyone around me was doing these things. So when I came out of high school, I was a good student. I was a straight A student. I really I used to do everything well. So I got a full scholarship, and I went to Dubai. I did 2 courses there, and I had this thing in me that I was really good, and I used to work very hard, but then also I had this thing that I used to party a lot harder. So that was the problem, and at that point I didn't feel like it was a problem. So what happened was, when I was in Dubai, I started drinking a lot. I started smoking a lot because everyone around me was doing those things, and partying was pretty normal concept for everyone around me. So I got into that place that I was drinking constantly. At that point, I was drinking every weekend or something like that. And these days, I think everyone, the students and everyone that is in that phase, thinks that you can work hard and party harder, but that's not really the full truth. That partying, it grows and it takes you to a place that is really dark and lonely. And I went to that place, and I found out about it the hard way. So up till there, it was okay. Everything was in control. It wasn't out of control. But then I came back after a few years. I came back to India, and then I enrolled in another course, and I started doing that course. So in the first 2 years were not that bad because I wasn't using those hard drugs. I was using, up till that point, I was using joint, and I was using weed. So that was a pretty normalized concept here also, because all the students used to do that. And also that party wala thing, that party phase, that you want to work harder but party harder. So that was happening, that was in my mind constantly. But it came to a point that these things became a habit. So now this was turning into a big problem, because now these things became an everyday thing. Like every day you bunk a class or two and you go and party, and it was not even a party, it was just going to a friend's room or just smoking there and coming back. So I stopped using alcohol and I started using the gateway drug, which is weed. And people think that weed is very it won't harm you in a way, but it's a gateway drug, and it will eventually your tolerance goes up. Those things, you don't get high anymore, right? So that tolerance goes up, and then you want to do more and more and more until you get to that point that that this is not working for me anymore, this won't get me high at all. So I was at that point, and eventually I got into this relationship that was really toxic. And that it was toxic because that person was doing some psychedelic, some more harder drugs than I was used to. And he was very distant from me. He wasn't communicating enough with me, and there were a lot of times where I used to feel like there is no connection. So we talked about these things, and I eventually had this thing in me that I wanted to make him better. Like I wanted him to be better, and like I can make him better. I had that misconception that I can make someone better, but you can't make anyone better if you're not better yourself. So I told him that instead of going to your friends, instead of doing these things, you do these things in front of me, so I can regulate those things. But eventually it came to a point that I started using with him, and that part became very disturbing and very dark point. And then I realized that I was doing all these things because I was numbing the pain, some kind of traumas that I faced in my life, and some things that were still going through my head, but I was unable to process them. So I was doing those things because I wanted to be seen. I wanted to have that validation, or maybe I was numbing the pain that I had. So at this point, everything became like, the whole day used to be like, where do I get the money to do all these things? Then where do I go and get the drug of choice? And where do I smoke? That's the whole agenda of the day. So the whole day became circulated, because the whole day became centered on that drug. It wasn't anything. It made me feel really anxious, really depressed, really lonely, because at a point you do those things and you feel happy about it, but after that point it just makes you feel really depressed, really suicidal. And I came to that point. So eventually that relationship also ended, and everything became a mess. Like my life was a mess, right? At that point, I was such a good student, I was in such good graces, but that came to a crashing halt, and I was skipping all my classes, and I didn't want to study. I didn't want to do anything productive. All my skills and everything that I had acquired till that time were sort of wasted, and I felt worthless inside. Like, I did not feel like I was good enough for anything to even be saved. And it came to such a bad point that I felt like the only thing I can do for myself. I tried to stop a lot of times. I tried to stop, and I used to look back after a few months every time. But it becomes such a bad toxic loop that you keep on doing those things and you cannot stop. So I was also experiencing a lot of panic attacks at this point, a lot of things that made me feel very anxious and very nervous, and I couldn't speak in front of people. There was a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression in me. And I used to be a very confident and very happy person, but that was completely changed. So I don't know, all those things were because of that drug, because of the misuse that I was doing. So I was ruining my life by myself. Like, I was doing all those things for myself. It's not like I didn't want to stop. There was a lot of every few months I just went back. I used to cry every night, like, how do I stop, because I'm in this loop. I can't stop. It's very difficult. And I had that willpower for a few days to stop, and then I used to do it again, all over again, and I used to feel all the more worthless. And I was misusing so much money. I was like, a ton of money. I was wasting that money. And my parents eventually got to know about it. My family eventually got to know about it. Like, she's not in a good place. She's very dark and she's very moody. And I used to snap at anyone at any point. So everything became really doom and at that point. And I didn't think that anything could save me. And then came Jesus in my life, and he restored me. Like, I can't even believe it's such a big miracle for me to be alive and giving this testimony today, because I was at a place that I was constantly suicidal. I was in and out of hospitals. I overdosed once. I cut my own wrists. I tried to jump off a building, and lots of things that happened with me to that point. And I was really suicidal. All the people in that hospital knew that I was suicidal. They used to say, "Oh, ये फिर से आ गई," like that. So I used to feel like that. What's happening? Why am I not dying? I'm trying to die, but why am I not dying? Because God was always there. He was saving me. But I didn't know at that point that he was there. I wasn't even acknowledging him. I was willing for something. I was willing for that peace. I wanted that peace. I wanted that thing, that I wanted my life back. But I did not know how to go about it. So then also at that point also I had an accident, and I was under the influence of drugs, and I was driving, and there was a car that came from behind, and it hit me, and my leg got fractured. So for 6 months I was on bed rest, and I had a surgery in my left leg, and I have 2 rods and 13 screws, titanium screws in that leg. So at that point I was feeling like, now I can't move. So I need to stop this lifestyle. But at that point also, I had some friends, I was calling people, and I was telling them, just put it in the letterbox, and I'll just walk till there, and I'll get it, and I'll do it in front of everyone. I was doing it in the bathroom. Like, these things were happening on an everyday basis, and everyone was really annoyed with me. Like, how can you do that when you already are in the bed? You already have such a big problem, and you are doing these things to yourself and getting more problems. So eventually that part of my life that ended, and then I was able to walk, and then that habit came on more forcefully, and I started doing a lot more than I was doing, because my tolerance was going up constantly. So I was doing a certain drug, and that tolerance went up, and then I used to feel like this is not working for me anymore, and I used to do the other thing. So my lifestyle was a constant like in a dark and black, in a bad place. And I used to cry all the like at nights. I used to cry. I used to be like, what should I do? Like, I used to ask God sometimes, if there is a God, please help me. So eventually it happened that my dad, he used to so I came here. I came to Coimbatore, and my dad dragged me here. He was like, we need to detox you in a way. So he brought me here, and I didn't want to come here. And then I met sir, and I met ma'am, and they, before this I had a lot of counselors that talked to me, that were there, and they did these huge assessments on me, that you have this problem and this problem, and you should. But I never got the solution on how I should go about making it right. How can I make my whole life right when everything is so wrong? So I used to feel like I'm not even worthy of saving. And I used to think God is a made up thing. It's a made up thing that is made by men. And that was a very wrong notion, because when I came here, and sir and ma'am, they had a counseling session with me, and I told them everything, and I was also I was very reserved. I couldn't tell them everything, right? Because I felt like they would not understand it. So I told them a few things, and eventually but sir told me that, why do you feel like you're worthless? Because God is always there with you, and he will always be and he has already saved you. So you don't need to feel worthless. You don't need to feel like you are less than someone. You are God's masterpiece. So I started, at first I was like, am I God's masterpiece? Then I started believing it. And that point, Jesus worked in me in such a way that every day I used to learn something or the other, and I used to feel like, yes, my life can be redeemed. Because before that, I was so suicidal, I was so depressed, and I just wanted to kill myself and end things for me, because I didn't feel like I was worthy enough for anything, for that nothing good could happen to me. So at that point, God started working in me, and I started acknowledging God. God was working in me from the starting, but I did not acknowledge him. I did not know that he was there, and he was always helping me. I was not alone in that dark pit of a place. He was always there. So I eventually, what happened was, I went back. I came for a few days here, and then I went back. So when I went back, that lifestyle sort of was coming back, and I was actively resisting it. I was trying to resist everything that I was doing. Maybe I was smoking every day, and every day I used to smoke, and I used to pray to God, what have I done? I used to cry, and I used to be like, I can't do this. I can't keep up with this anymore. Like, I feel done. I can't do this anymore. And I'm hurting so many people around me. I'm hurting my family. I'm hurting my friends. I'm hurting any kind of bond that I make with anyone, a friendship that I make. I'm hurting all those things. And most of all, I'm hurting myself and my bond with God. And that was, that was very bad. And so I started thinking about those things, and that journey sort of began from there. And everything came up in such a way. Now God worked in such a beautiful way in my life that every question that I had was answered in a way that He showed me the answer of that question. Every problem or everything that I had in my mind, that how is this going to work? How am I going to get over this? Everything sort of eventually came in 2 or 3 months' time. Everything came up, and I felt very free. I felt very good and open, and I felt at peace for the first time in my life. And I was craving that peace that I never got. So then I told my dad that I wanted to come back here, because something in me, it said, maybe it was the Holy Spirit that told me to come back here and experience more. Like, I wanted to know more. So I decided to come back to Germinate, and the Holy Spirit told me to come back here. And I came back here. I quit all those lifestyle choices. I even quit smoking. That was very hard. And I quit everything. And I was here, and I started learning more and more. And every day has been such a blessing to me since that time. And I feel like I didn't know God before this. Like, I didn't know that He existed, but He is there, and He is always helping me in everything that I do. So I feel very grateful, and I feel very loved and very blessed to be sharing this with every one of you. And I feel happy that I'm finally out of that place, and I don't want to go back there ever again. So it gave me such a big willpower, such a big, I feel powerful in myself that I can do better. I can do so much better than I thought I could. So to each and every one of you who is watching, I want to share this belief system that I have in myself, that Jesus is always there with you. Even though you are in the darkest of pits, even though you are in the darkest of places, even though you have been abused, or you have some addictions, or you have problems with your life, you have some or the other kind of problems. Every one of us has them. And but Jesus will always be there with you. He will always be there, and He will always help you through everything. And I want to pray for each and every one of you and tell you that our God is great. He is magnificent, and He has all the glory, and He will love you unconditionally. Even though someone loves you or doesn't love you, God is always there, who is going to love you. Even though you are the most alone in this world, He will always love you. So that's all you need, His unconditional love. And I came from that dark place, so I want to pray for each and every one of you, so that even if you're facing the hardest times right now, even if you're facing lots of hardships and lots of problems with your work, with your college, with your lifestyle, with your spouse, with your boyfriend or whoever, God is always there, and He will always help you. And He is the one that can do any miracle possible. Like, even if you have a disease, even if you have a health issue, He will heal you. You just have to believe it. So I just want to end this testimony by telling you that God is great. Our God is wonderful, and He's beautiful, and He will always be there with you. So thank you. And I hope people listen to this and they relate to it in some or the other way, and they get redeemed through it. So thank you.